Close your eyes for a moment, just for a singular, sacred moment, and imagine that time itself, exactly right now, has opened a silent crack in the fabric of your reality. We are not asking for a whole day of your life, nor even a full hour, but merely 7 minutes. Visualize these 7 minutes suspended in the air, hanging weightless and shimmering, as if the entire universe has brought its chaotic spinning to a sudden, deliberate halt just to whisper a secret directly into the center of your soul. Now is your turn. We begin here because there are specific seasons in the human experience where the old ways of operating simply collapse. There are moments when money does not return to you by effort. No matter how hard you work, it does not return by insistence. No matter how loudly you demand it, it does not return by anxiety. No matter how much you worry or lose sleep. In these profound seasons, abundance returns only when something realigns deep within the architectural structure of your spirit. This is one of those moments. You must understand that today is not an ordinary day in the calendar of your life. This is not just another video you listen to in the background while you wash the dishes or drive through traffic. Half distracted by the demands of the world, there is something fundamentally different hovering here, in this space we are creating together. It is a subtle but undeniable sensation of a new beginning. A shift in the atmospheric pressure of your destiny. It feels like the way the air changes just before a summer rain breaks a long, suffocating drought, or the heavy, pregnant silence that arrives just before the doorbell rings with the news you have been praying for. There is an invisible thread reorganizing itself in the ether right now, weaving a new pattern of possibility. And you are sitting exactly where you need to be to pull it. You have been guided to this specific intersection of time and space not by an algorithm, but by a divine appointment that your soul accepted long before your conscious mind clicked on this video. Perhaps you are tired. Let us acknowledge that fatigue without judgment. Perhaps you are exhausted from trying to force doors open that seem welded shut. Maybe you are weary of the spiritual gymnastics. Tired of thinking positive thoughts when your reality looks negative. Tired of affirming abundance until your throat is dry while your bank account shows lack. Tired of visualizing wealth only to open your eyes to the same old struggle. Maybe there is a part of you, a shadow self, that is whispering right now with a cynical, ironic smile, telling you that if it were this simple, you would already be living on a yacht, and that this is just another false hope. I want you to know that it is okay to feel that resistance. That cynical thought is not your enemy. It is a guardian. It is the echo of old experiences, of broken promises, of disappointments that left scars on your hope. It is the part of you trying to protect you from being let down again. But we are here to tell that guardian that it can rest now, because we are not using hope today, we are using law. We are entering a space of 7 minutes because 7 is a number of immense spiritual weight. It is the number of completion. It is the number of the divine rest. In the ancient texts, the Creator worked for 6 days and rested on the 7th. This rest was not because the Creator was tired, but because the work was finished. The 7 minutes we are claiming today represent that shift from the energy of working for it to the energy of it is finished. We are moving you from the frequency of the beggar, who is always asking, to the frequency of the master, who is always receiving. Most of humanity lives in a state of perpetual incompletion, always chasing the next dollar, the next solution, the next fix. They are running on a hamster wheel of anxiety, believing that if they just run faster, they will finally arrive. But you cannot arrive if you are running in circles. You have to step off the wheel. You have to find the crack in time. What if I told you that the problem has never been a lack of worthiness on your part? What if I told you that you have not been punished by the universe, What if I told you that money has not run away from you, hiding in some distant vault that you cannot find? What if the truth is much simpler and much more profound? What if money has simply gone into a state of suspension, a waiting mode, standing patiently at the border of your life, waiting for a new order to be issued? Florence Scovel Shinn, one of the greatest metaphysicians of the last century, taught something deeply uncomfortable for the common mind, yet absolutely liberating for the awakened soul. She taught that life does not respond to your need, it responds to your command. But it does not respond to a command given from a place of fear or habit. It responds to the word spoken with internal authority. This is the missing key. You have been speaking words. Yes, you have been asking, begging, hoping, and pleading. But begging is not commanding. Begging reinforces the reality of lack. When you beg for money, you are telling the universe, I do not have it. And the universe, acting as a faithful mirror, reflects that lack back to you. We are here to change the posture of your spirit. We are here to stand in this silent crack in time and issue a new decree. The reason we pause is that you cannot rewrite the script while the movie is playing at full speed. You have to hit pause. You have to step out of the momentum of your past mistakes. This silence we are cultivating is not empty, it is pregnant with power. It is in this silence that the realignment happens. Think of a bone that has been dislocated. It causes pain and limits movement. You cannot just wish it back into place. You have to stop moving, reset it, and align it with the structure of the body. Your financial life is the same. It is not broken, it is just dislocated. It is out of alignment with the flow of divine supply. We are taking these minutes to perform a spiritual adjustment. We are aligning your small, finite mind with the infinite mind of God. In this alignment, the struggle ceases. The friction dissolves. When a machine is perfectly aligned, it makes no noise and generates no heat. It just works. When your life is aligned, the struggle with money disappears. It becomes quiet. It becomes effective. It becomes obedient. And here is the truth that few dare to say out loud because it sounds too good to be true to the conditioned mind. Money is obedient. It has no will of its own. It is energy. It is a servant. It does not judge your past bankruptcies. It does not analyze your resume to see if you are qualified. It does not look at your family history to see if you come from wealth. It does not care about the economy or the news headlines. It responds only to one thing, the energetic command that you sustain. For a long time, perhaps years or decades, you have been giving commands to this obedient servant, but you have been giving the wrong ones. Without realizing it, you have been commanding it to stay away. You have been commanding it to be difficult. You have been commanding it to be scarce. Every time you said, I can't afford it with a heavy heart, you signed an executive order. Every time you worried about a bill, you confirmed the decree of lack. You have been a master of scarcity, commanding your servant money to flee from you with the same fidelity that you can now use to command it to return. This is not about blame. Do not waste a single second of this sacred time blaming yourself for past ignorance. You did the best you could with the consciousness you had, but now, the crack in time has opened. The light has poured in. You are waking up. And as you sit here, you are realizing that the power was never in the external world. It was never in the job market, the boss, the clients, or the government. The power was always in your throat. It was always in your vibration. This realization is the beginning of your freedom. Today is the day we cancel the old orders. Today is the day we tear up the old contracts of struggle. Today is the day we look at the obedient energy of money and give it a new instruction. But this instruction does not come from a place of desperate screaming. It comes from this quiet, 7-minute suspension. It comes from the stillness. It comes from the knowing. So I invite you to go deeper into this stillness. Let the world spin outside. Let the traffic noise fade. Let the notifications on your phone wait. Nothing is more important than this realignment. You are performing open heart surgery on your destiny right now. You are sowing the seeds of a harvest that will feed you for years to come. Do not rush this. Do not look at the clock. We are stepping out of time to change the timeline. We are stepping out of the logic of men to enter the logic of miracles. In this space, everything is possible, because in this space, you are not a victim of circumstance. You are a channel of the divine, and the divine knows no lack, no limitation, and no delay. The crack in time is open. Walk through it. Here is a truth that few spiritual teachers dare to say out loud because it dismantles the victim mentality instantly. Money is obedient. We have built an entire mythology around money that paints it as a cruel tyrant, a elusive trickster, or a master that we must serve. We believe it decides who eats and who starves, who succeeds and who fails. We attribute to it a will, a personality, and a power that it simply does not possess. Let us strip away these illusions right now. Money is not a master. Money is energy. It is a current. It is an inanimate, neutral substance that takes on the shape of the vessel into which it is poured. It has no brain to judge you. It has no eyes to critique your past. It has no heart to love or hate you. It is a servant, and like a loyal servant, it stands at attention, waiting for a command from the master of the house. You are the master of the house. The tragedy of the human condition is not that we are powerless, but that we are powerful creators who are unaware of our authority. And thus, we issue commands of destruction with the same potency that we could issue commands of creation. You must understand that money does not care about your resume. If it did, the most educated people would always be the wealthiest. And we know that is not the case. It does not analyze your credit score to see if you are worthy. It does not check your family lineage. It responds to one thing and one thing only, the energetic command you sustain. This command is not just the affirmation you say for 5 minutes in the morning. It is the dominant vibration you emit for the other 16 hours of the day. For a long time, perhaps without realizing it, you have been standing in the center of your own universe and shouting orders of scarcity. You have been commanding money to stay away. You have been commanding it to be hard to get. You have been commanding it to slip through your fingers. And money, being the obedient servant that it is, has followed your instructions to the letter. It has stayed away. It has been hard to get. It has slipped away. It did not do this to punish you. It did this because it obeyed you. Observe your own language, for your language is the software code of your reality. I am not speaking merely of the words you say to your friends when you are trying to look successful. I am speaking of the whispers in the privacy of your own mind. I am speaking of the visceral reaction you have when you walk to the mailbox and see a bill. What is the first thought that fires across your neural pathways? Is it thank you for the service this bill represents? Or is it, oh God, not another one? That thought, not another one, is a decree. It is a command that says, I am under attack. I am depleted. I am a victim. The universe hears this vibration and matches it. It sends you more reasons to feel under attack. It sends you more depletion. It proves you right. When you walk through a store and see something you desire, and the automatic phrase rises in your throat, I can't afford that. You have just slammed a steel door in the face of your supply. You have defined yourself as a person of lack. You have drawn a circle around your life that excludes that object, and money respects that boundary perfectly. These phrases are not innocent desolations. They are not harmless complaints. They are executive orders. Your subconscious mind is the engine room of a great ship. You are the captain on the bridge. The captain can be drunk. The captain can be asleep. Or the captain can be delusional. But the engine room simply obeys the orders coming from the bridge. If the captain says full speed into the rocks, the engine room does not argue. It drives the ship into the rocks. When you say money goes out faster than it comes in, you are ordering a velocity of loss. You are telling your subconscious to ensure that expenses always exceed income. You are creating a hydraulic pressure in your life that pushes money away. And then you wonder why. When you get a bonus or a tax refund, the car breaks down the next day. It is because you have a standing order in your system that says, I cannot keep money. The car breaking down is just the mechanism the universe uses to fulfill your command to get rid of the excess cash. We must become forensic analysts of our own speech and thought. We must catch these little saboteurs before they take root. When you say money is the root of all evil, you are commanding it to be an enemy. Who wants an enemy in their house? If you subconsciously believe money is evil, you will subconsciously sabotage every opportunity to get it because your moral compass is trying to protect you from evil. When you say rich people are greedy, you are commanding yourself to stay poor so that you can remain good. These are the invisible walls you have built. But today, we recognize them for what they are. They are not truths. They are just bad orders. And orders can be changed. You have the authority to issue a counter-command. But this counter-command cannot be a weak wish. It cannot be a whimper. It must be a decree. This brings us to the profound difference between wanting and allowing. Most people spend their lives wanting money. They vibrate at the frequency of want. But look at the word itself. To want means to lack. If a man is found wanting, he is found missing something. When you say, I want money, you are effectively saying, I do not have money. You are reinforcing the absence of the thing you desire, the universe, which acts as a giant photocopier of your vibration. Here's I do not have. And it prints out more situations where you do not have. Wanting carries tension. It carries a tightness in the chest. It carries a grasping energy. Have you ever tried to hold water in a clenched fist? The tighter you squeeze, the more it escapes. This is how most people approach their finances. They squeeze. They hoard. They worry. They check their bank accounts 10 times a day with a knot in their stomach. This is the energy of repulsion. To allow is entirely different. To allow is to open the hand. To allow is to create a vacuum of trust that money rushes to fill. Allowing carries the energy of it is done. It carries the confidence of the farmer who has planted the seed and knows the harvest is coming. So he does not dig up the seed every morning to check on it. Allowing is the state of the master. The master does not scream at the servants. The master speaks softly, knowing he will be obeyed. We are moving you from the desperate energy of the beggar to the calm authority of the commander. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that true faith is not a struggle. It is a rest. It is a deep, settling knowledge that the divine plan includes your prosperity. When you truly understand that money is obedient, you stop chasing it. You realize that chasing implies it is running away. Instead, you stand still. You become a magnetic center. You issue the call, and you wait with the calm assurance that the energy must return to you. Consider the air you breathe. You do not worry about whether there will be enough air for your next breath. You do not hoard air in your lungs, afraid to exhale because you might not get another one. You breathe in, and you breathe out, fully trusting the atmosphere to supply you. Money is the same substance. It is the breath of the economic body. It must flow in, and it must flow out. When you pay a bill, do not pay it with resentment. Resentment constricts the flow. Pay it with gratitude. Say I have the ability to pay this, and I bless the company that provided this service. When you bless your money as it leaves, you attach a boomerang effect to it. You command it to return. You are telling the universe, I have plenty. I am a source. I am in the flow. This changes the command from loss to circulation, and money loves circulation. It loves to move. It stagnates when hoarded in fear, but it multiplies when circulated in faith. So, as we stand in this section of our realignment, we are stripping you of the victim identity. You are not a victim of the economy. You are not a victim of your boss. You are not a victim of your debt. These are just the physical manifestations of past commands. They are the shadows cast by your old way of thinking. You can change the shadow by moving the object. You can change the reality by changing the command. The universe is waiting for you to stop begging and start decreeing. It is waiting for you to stop complaining about the darkness and turn on the light. The obedience of money is a law, not a theory. It works for everyone. Just as gravity works for everyone. If you jump off a building, gravity does not care if you are a good person or a bad person. It pulls you down. If you align with the law of prosperity, the universe does not care if you have failed 1,000 times before. It lifts you up. The law is neutral. The law is faithful. The law is waiting for your voice. What command will you issue today? Will you continue to command struggle, or will you command ease? Will you continue to command lack, or will you command overflow? The choice is not in the stars. The choice is in your mouth. It is in your feeling. It is in your imagination. You are the operant power. You are the only person who can block your supply, and you are the only person who can unblock it. The money you need is not far away. It is right there, hovering in the invisible, waiting for the signal to manifest. It is like a dog listening for the whistle. It is eager to serve you. It wants to come home to you. But you must drop the fear. You must drop the hostility. You must drop the language of poverty. You must welcome it with the dignity of a child of the Most High. You are royalty, and royalty does not beg. Royalty commands. Stand tall in your spirit right now. Feel the mantle of authority settling on your shoulders. The servant is listening. Give the order. Most people live their entire lives in a state of perpetual reaction to money. They are like leaves blowing in the wind, entirely at the mercy of the financial weather. When the stock market goes up, they feel safe. When the bills pile up, they feel terrified. When a client pays, they breathe. When an expense arises, they suffocate. This is the definition of living as a passenger in your own life. You are sitting in the vehicle of your destiny, but you are acting as if you are strapped into the back seat, watching the road through the window, screaming at the turns, bracing for the bumps, and hoping that whoever or whatever is driving knows where they are going. But here is the terrifying and liberating truth that you must confront right now. There is no one else in the car. The driver's seat is empty. You have been screaming from the back seat while the steering wheel waits for your hand. To move from reacting to commanding is to unbuckle yourself from the position of the victim, climb over the center console, and sit down in the seat of authority. It is to grab the wheel with both hands and decide that you are no longer a thermometer that simply reflects the temperature of your bank account, but a thermostat that sets the temperature of your reality. Reacting is a form of spiritual slavery. When you react, you are giving your power away to the external circumstance. You are saying to the bill in your hand, "You have power over my peace." You are saying to the balance on your screen, "You determine my worth." You are letting dead paper and digital numbers dictate the beating of your heart and the quality of your sleep. This is an inversion of the spiritual order. You are a living soul, filled with the breath of the Almighty. and money is an inanimate tool meant to serve you. When you tremble before it, you are worshiping the idol of lack. We must break this idol today. Commanding is not about controlling every external detail. You cannot control the economy or the whims of your boss. Commanding is about controlling your internal response. It is about standing in the midst of the storm and deciding that the storm does not get inside the ship. When you command, you look at the lack and say, "This is temporary illusion." You look at the debt and say, "This is being resolved." You do not deny the facts, but you deny their authority over your spirit. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the human being was created to give orders to the invisible, not to beg from the visible. This is a profound shift in identity. Most of us were raised to beg. We beg for a raise. We beg for a discount. We beg for a break. We pray with the energy of a beggar, hoping God will throw a coin in our cup. But the universe does not respond to begging because begging implies separation. Begging implies that you are an outsider trying to get in. Commanding implies that you are an heir claiming what is already yours. When you command, you are aligning with the truth that abundance is your birthright. You are not asking for a favor. You are accessing a law. Imagine a king walking into his own treasury. Does he beg the guard for a gold coin? No. He simply takes what is needed for the kingdom. You are the king or queen of your own life. Stop standing at the gate of your own palace holding out a tin cup. Walk in. This brings us to the greatest obstacle that prevents people from commanding: the obsession with the how. You want to command abundance, but your logical mind immediately screams, "How will it come? I have a fixed salary. I have no rich relatives. I have no business ideas." And because you cannot see the how, you retreat back into fear. You step out of the driver's seat and go back to the back seat. You must understand that the how is not your business. The how is the domain of infinite intelligence. Your function is the what. Your function is to define the destination. The function of the universe is to plot the route. If you use a GPS in your car, you do not need to know the name of every street or the traffic patterns of every intersection. You simply type in the address, and the satellite guides you. If you miss a turn, it recalculates. If there is a roadblock, it finds a detour. The universe is a divine GPS. When you try to figure out the how, you are trying to do God's job, and you are unqualified for that position. Your limited human mind can only see the resources you currently have. The infinite mind sees resources you do not even know exist. It sees connections, coincidences, and channels that are invisible to you. To command is to say, "I am prospering," and then let the universe decide if that prosperity comes through a raise, a gift, a refund, a new idea, or a lottery ticket. Release the tyranny of the how and rest in the certainty of the what. Perhaps until today, you have treated money as something distant, difficult, and heavy. You have viewed it as a wild animal that you have to trap, or a cruel lover that you have to woo. This adversarial relationship blocks the flow. Energy goes where attention flows. But it also reflects the quality of that attention. If you look at money with suspicion, fear, and resentment, money will reflect that energy back to you by being elusive and problematic. We need to reframe this relationship. Start seeing money as an energy friend. Start seeing it as a supportive ally that wants to be with you. Imagine money as a golden retriever. If you are constantly yelling at the dog, kicking the dog, or terrified that the dog will bite you, the dog will run away. But if you are calm, welcoming, and confident, the dog will sit at your feet. Money wants to be directed. It wants a purpose. It wants a master who is not afraid of it. When you command, you are providing that direction. You are giving money a job to do. Go pay this bill. Go buy this food. Go support this charity. When you treat money with the dignity of a master, it serves you with loyalty. Let us use the metaphor of water, which is one of the most powerful symbols for wealth. We call it cash flow, liquid assets. Currency, like a current. Water must move to remain fresh. If you trap water in a bucket and grip it tight, it becomes stagnant and toxic. If you try to grab water with a clenched fist, it squirts through your fingers and you are left with nothing. This is what happens when you operate from survival mode. You tighten up. You stop spending. You stop giving. You hoard every penny in terror. And by doing so, you stop the current. You turn your life into a swamp instead of a river. To command the flow is to open your hand. It is to cup your hands gently in the river. The water flows in, and the water flows out. You are never empty, but you are never holding on. You are a channel. When you trust the flow, you know that the water that leaves today makes room for the fresh water that arrives tomorrow. You do not mourn the water that flows downstream. You simply trust the source upstream. What we are doing here is not forcing the water to move. You cannot force the universe. We are desobstructing the riverbed. Imagine a beautiful stream that has been choked by mud, falling branches, and old garbage. The water cannot flow, it just trickles. The mud is your doubt. The branches are your fears. The garbage is your old programming about poverty. There are people who pass years studying economics, working 3 jobs, trying to force the water through the mud. They are exhausted, muddy, and broke. All they needed to do was clear the riverbed. They needed to adjust a single internal frequency. They needed to remove the debris of I can't, and it's too hard. When you clear the channel, you do not need to pump the water. Gravity takes over. The water flows naturally because that is its nature. Abundance is the nature of the universe. Poverty is an artificial dam created by human error. When you remove the dam, abundance does not have to be created. It rushes in because it was always there, pushing against your resistance. Scarcity does not begin in the bank account. It begins in the dialogue you hold with yourself when you think no one is listening. It begins in the quiet moments before sleep, when you calculate your debts instead of counting your blessings. It begins in the morning, when you wake up with a sigh of heaviness instead of a breath of gratitude. This internal dialogue is the rudder of your ship. If your rudder is turned to lack, no amount of hard work at the oars will get you to the island of plenty. You will just spin in circles. Commanding means taking hold of that rudder. It means catching yourself in the middle of a negative thought and saying, "No, that is the old way. I cancel that thought. The truth is that I am supplied." It requires vigilance. It requires the discipline to not let your mind run wild like a spoiled child. You must parent your own mind. You must tell it where to look. You must tell it what to believe. And now, as you listen to these words, something important is happening in your neurology. Your attention is turning inward. You are withdrawing your energy from the problems on the screen of life and bringing it back to the projector within. Where attention goes, energy flows. For years, you have given your attention to the lack, and so you have fed the lack with your own life force. You have made the monster of debt bigger by feeding it your fear. Now, you are starving the monster. You are taking your attention off the not enough and placing it on the infinite supply. You are not here by accident. You did not click on this video by chance. There is an intelligence organizing your awakening. You are ready to stop being the passenger. You are ready to stop being the victim. You are ready to put your hands on the wheel. The seat is warm. The engine is running. The road is open. Sit down. Take command. Drive. Now that you have taken your place in the driver's seat, I invite you to make this shift permanent. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a conscious creator. If you are ready to stay in the seat of authority and master the spiritual laws of wealth, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. We are building a community of masters here. Souls who refuse to beg and choose to command. Click the subscribe button and the bell icon to lock in your intention. By doing so, you are telling the universe, I am ready for more. And now, let us learn the specific mechanics of how to drive this vehicle using the Trinity of Alignment. Now, we arrive at the practical application of this spiritual science. We have established that money is obedient and that you must move from the back seat of reaction to the driver's seat of command. But the question remains of how one actually operates the vehicle. How do you shift the gears of reality? Florence Scovel Shinn taught a method that is disarmingly simple, yet devastatingly powerful. It is a method that requires no hours of chanting, no isolation in a cave, and no immense sacrifice of your energy. It requires only presence and decision. We can summarize this method into 3 internal movements that interlock like the perfect gears of a Swiss watch. These 3 movements are declare, visualizing, and trust. They are the Trinity of Alignment. When these 3 spin together in unison, they generate a vortex of power that no obstacle can withstand and no lack can survive. Let us disassemble this engine and understand exactly how each part functions so that you can operate it with mastery. The first movement is to declare. You must understand that in the metaphysics of money, there is a canyon of difference between asking and declaring. Most people spend their spiritual lives asking. They approach the infinite with a hat in their hand, looking at the floor, apologizing for their desires. Please, if it be your will, can I have a little more? This prayer, while humble in appearance, is fatal to manifestation because it affirms separation. It affirms that you do not have the thing and that you are not sure if you are allowed to have it. To declare is to assume the posture of the air. It is to recognize that the will of God is always abundance, just as the will of the sun is always to shine. To declare is to assume that something is already in the process of realization. It is the profound, energetic shift between saying, I hope I can pay this bill, and affirming, I have a divine surplus for every obligation. In the first case, you are outside the castle walls, hoping to be let in. In the second case, you are inside the throne room, issuing a decree. The universe listens to decrees. When you make a declaration, something immediate and biological happens within you. Your brain stops scanning the environment for danger and starts scanning for opportunity. Your reticular activating system, the filter of your mind, receives a new set of coordinates. When you say, I am prosperous, even if your wallet is empty, you create a cognitive dissonance that your mind must resolve. To resolve it, your mind begins to look for evidence of prosperity that it previously ignored. It stops looking for proofs of poverty. This is why the specific wording matters less than the specific authority. You are not trying to convince the universe. The universe already knows your potential. You are trying to convince your own subconscious. The moment you declare with conviction, you cut the cord of doubt. You drive a stake into the ground of your reality and say, here I stand. A declaration is a boundary line. You are saying to the chaos, you may come no further, and to the abundance, you are welcome here. It is an act of spiritual sovereignty. The second movement is to visualize. Here is where the modern understanding often goes astray. We have been taught that visualization means closing your eyes and straining your brain to create a high-definition movie of your future, seeing every detail of the new car or the new house. For many, this creates stress. They worry that if the image is blurry, the manifestation will fail. Let us liberate you from that pressure. in the school of Florence Scovel Shinn. Visualization is not about optical precision. It is about emotional precision. It is not about seeing the money. It is about feeling the relief of having the money. The subconscious mind does not speak English, French, or Spanish. It speaks the language of feeling. The image is just the container. The feeling is the substance. If you visualize a pile of money, but you feel anxiety about losing it, you will manifest loss. If you visualize a simple paid bill and you feel the wash of cold water relief down your spine, you will manifest freedom. This brings us to the concept of the divine atelier. Imagine your imagination is a divine workshop. In this workshop, you are the architect. You are sculpting your future, not with clay, but with emotion. When you visualize, ask yourself this question: how would my body feel if this problem were solved right now? Would my shoulders drop 3 inches? Would my breath go deeper into my belly? Would my jaw unclench? Would I walk slower? That physical sensation of relief is the magic key. That is the "it is done" state. When you can summon the feeling of relief before the check arrives, you have collapsed the timeline. You have tricked time. You have told your body that the event has already happened. And because your vibration is now matching the reality of the solution must rush to find you. Urgency contracts energy. It pushes things away. Calm expands energy. It draws things in. Visualize to find the calm. Visualize to rehearse the peace. When you can sit in the silence of your room and feel the joy of the debt being paid, you have done the work. The physical manifestation is just the echo of that silent explosion of relief. The third movement is to trust. This is the hardest for the logical, modern mind. We are trained to verify, to micromanage, and to control. But in the spiritual realm, control is resistance. To trust means to act without desperation. It means to speak without doubt. It means to think without sabotage. Trust is the bridge you walk across when you cannot see the other side. It is the audacity to make plans for a future that has not yet appeared on the ledger. Many people say they trust, but then they stay up all night worrying. That is not trust. That is hope mixed with terror. Trust is a state of active rest. It is the farmer who plants the seed and then goes about his business, not digging it up every hour to see if it has roots. If you dig it up, you kill it. You must have the discipline to leave the seed alone in the dark soil of the universe. When you trust, you release the tyranny of the how. The how is the killer of dreams. How will I get the money? How will I meet the client? The how is the domain of infinite intelligence. It has millions of ways to deliver your good, ways that are completely invisible to your limited perspective. When you insist on knowing the how, you are handing the universe a script and telling it to follow your narrow plot. You are limiting the infinite. Maybe the money isn't supposed to come from your job. Maybe it's supposed to come from a gift, an idea, or a coincidence. When you release the how, you open the floodgates of possibility. Trust means doing what is in front of you today, washing the dishes, doing your work, loving your family with absolute excellence, while knowing that the heavy lifting of your destiny is being handled by a power greater than you. It is the Saturday afternoon energy. Think of how you feel on a Saturday afternoon when all your work is done and you have nothing to do but enjoy. That is the vibration of trust. It is the feeling of, it is handled. Now, you must perceive something very subtle about this trinity. Declare, visualize, and trust are not linear steps. You do not do step 1 on Monday, step 2 on Tuesday, and step 3 on Wednesday. They are a simultaneous chord. They happen all at once, in the moment of alignment. You declare with your voice, you visualize with your feeling, and you trust with your actions. When these 3 align, You become a master of the moment. You become a focal point of power. The blocks dissolve, not because you fought them, but because you out-vibrated them. You rose above the frequency where the blocks exist. You might say, "But I have tried this before, and it didn't work." Let me correct that perception with love. Before, you tried it to see if it would work. You were testing the law. You were dipping your toe in the water. But you cannot test a law that requires your total surrender. You cannot trick the universe. It knows the difference between a test and a testimony. Now, you are not doing it to see if it works. You are doing it because it is the truth. You are doing it because it is who you are. The energy changes completely when you stop auditioning for your good and start accepting it. When you shift from trying to being, the friction disappears. Let us bring this down to the pavement of your daily life. Imagine a bill arrives today that you cannot pay. The old you would react with fear. Step 1 of the old cycle. Visualize homelessness. Step 2 of the old cycle. And distrust the future. Step 3 of the old cycle. Today, you stop. You engage the Trinity. You declare, "There is a perfect supply for this need, and I bless this obligation as a symbol of my ability to pay." You stand tall. Then you visualize. You close your eyes for 10 seconds and feel the relief of clicking submit payment. You feel the lightness in your chest. You see the balance at 0. You generate the chemical of relief. Then you trust. You put the bill on your desk. You do not hide it. You do not obsess over it. And you go do your work with a smile, knowing that the means are making their way to you. You treat the bill not as a monster, but as a transaction that is already complete in the mind of God. This is the alchemy of the soul. This is how you unblock the supply in 7 minutes. By engaging this Trinity, you are retraining your nervous system. You are teaching your body that safety does not come from hoarding, it comes from aligning. You are teaching your mind that power does not come from worrying, it comes from decreeing. This is not a magic trick that you do once. It is a lifestyle. It is a way of walking through the world. You become a person who declares their reality, feels their victory, and trusts their source. And when you become that person, money has no choice but to flow to you. It must. It is the law. The gear is engaged. The engine is running. The movement has begun. We have arrived at the final, and perhaps the most profound stage of this spiritual surgery. We have acknowledged the obedience of money. We have taken the seat of command. And we have engaged the Trinity of alignment. Now, we must seal all of this with what I call the silent agreement. This is the moment where the philosophy stops being a concept in your head and becomes a treaty in your heart. It is the moment you sign a peace accord with life itself. You see, many of you have been at war with your reality for years. You have been fighting your debt, fighting your lack, fighting your circumstances, and the universal law states that what you resist persists. You cannot fight something and heal it at the same time, because the energy of fighting is the energy of validation. When you fight poverty, you are validating it as a powerful enemy. Today, we stop the fight. We enter into an agreement of flow. We stop trying to manipulate the external world, and we start cooperating with the internal law. You might be asking a question that lingers in the back of the mind of every seeker. What if I have tried all of this before? What if I have affirmed and visualized and nothing changed? This is a fair question. And the answer is simple yet devastatingly deep. Before, you tried these things to see if they would work. You were treating spiritual law like a lottery ticket or a slot machine. You were saying, "I will put in 5 minutes of affirmation and see if I get a jackpot." But the universe does not respond to testing. It responds to trusting. When you test the law, you are vibrating at the frequency of doubt. You are standing outside the house looking in. Now, You do it not to see if it works. You do it because it is the truth. The energy changes completely when you stop auditioning for your life and start inhabiting it. You are no longer a scientist running an experiment. You are a master living your reality. This shift from testing to being is the silent agreement. Let us bring this down to the very ground you walk on. Let us apply this to a specific, painful scenario that many of you face. Imagine that tomorrow, a need arises, the car breaks down, or a bill arrives that is higher than expected. The old version of you, the version that was at war with life, would immediately contract. Your stomach would tighten. Your breath would become shallow. And you would begin the mental script of disaster. Why does this always happen to me? I will never get ahead. In that moment, you are agreeing with lack. You are signing a contract with poverty. But with the silent agreement, you do something different. You pause. You do not enter the list of problems. You do not compulsively check your bank balance to confirm your fear. You stop. You take a breath. And you declare, internally, there is a perfect source supplying this need right now. This is not denial. You are not pretending the bill doesn't exist. You are denying the bill the right to destroy your peace. You are denying the problem the authority to dictate your emotional state. After you make that declaration, you feel for the relief. You deliberately conjure the sensation of the solution. And then, and this is the hardest part, you let it go. You go back to work. You play with your children. You eat your dinner. You do not watch the pot to see if it is boiling. The mistake most people make is vigilance. They affirm. And then, 5 minutes later, they check for the result. Is it here yet? Did it work? This vigilance is a vibration of lack. It screams to the universe, I don't really believe it's coming. The silent agreement means you have placed the order and you trust the kitchen. You don't kick down the kitchen door every 5 minutes to scream at the chef. You sit at the table. You drink your wine. And you wait for the feast. Knowing it is being prepared. The universe understands coherence, not just speech. You can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times a day. But if you feel I am poor in your gut, the universe listens to the gut. Coherence is when your thoughts, your words, and your feelings are all sitting at the same table, agreeing on the same truth. When you drop the vigilance, when you stop checking for signs every hour, you create this coherence. You signal to the field that you are settled, and it is in that settled state that the magic happens. Florence Scovel Shinn spoke often of words being seeds. If you plant a seed in the garden, you do not dig it up every morning to see if it has roots. If you do, you kill it. You must have the courage to leave the seed in the dark. You must trust the dark. The dark is not evil. The dark is the womb of creation. Your invisible supply is growing in the dark right now. Do not expose it to the harsh light of your doubt before it is ready to sprout. We must also address the nature of the soil. You cannot plant the seeds of prosperity in the soil of fear and expect a harvest of wealth. First, you must calm the earth. That is what we are doing here. We are calming the terrain of your nervous system. Money likes movement. Yes, but it only moves freely where there is no resistance. Think of money as water flowing through a hose. If you are kinked with fear, guilt, or resentment, the water cannot flow. It backs up. The pressure builds. You experience financial stress not because there is no water, but because you are standing on the hose. The silent agreement is the act of stepping off the hose. It is the release of the tension in your body that says, I have to force this. You do not have to force the sun to rise. You do not have to force your heart to beat. And you do not have to force your supply to come. You just have to let it. There is a subtle trap we must dismantle regarding self-worth. Many of you believe, secretly, that money will prove your worth. You think, When I have the money, then I will be successful. Then I will be worthy of love. Then I will be safe. This is backward. Money does not arrive to prove your value. It arrives to expand the value you already know you have. If you feel small and unworthy, money will stay away because it cannot resonate with that frequency. Or, if it does come, it will flee quickly because you will subconsciously sabotage it to return to your baseline of unworthiness. The silent agreement is a treaty with your own worthiness. It is deciding, right now, with empty pockets or full pockets, that you are a divine creation worthy of all good. When you accept your worthiness first, the money follows as a natural reflection. The mirror does not smile before you do. You smile first, and the mirror reflects it. You feel worthy first, and the cash reflects it. This brings us to the distinction between doubt and resistance. This is a crucial nuance that will liberate you. You do not need 100% perfect faith to manifest. You are human. You will have doubts. You will have moments where the logical mind says, "This is crazy." That is okay. Doubt is just a thought. But resistance is a state of being. Resistance is pushing against reality. Resistance is refusing to receive. You can have a doubt floating in your head like a cloud, but still have the sun of non-resistance shining in your heart. You don't need to eliminate every negative thought. You just need to withdraw their authority. Treat your doubts like noisy children in the back seat of the car. You don't have to kick them out of the car to keep driving, but you certainly don't let them drive. You keep your hands on the wheel of the silent agreement. You say, "I hear you, doubt, but we are going this way." As long as you do not resist the flow can move around your doubts. So, what does this silent agreement feel like? It feels like a lowering of the shoulders. It feels like an exhale. It feels like the end of the argument. You stop arguing with your reality. You stop arguing with your past. You stop arguing with God. You simply agree. You agree that abundance is the law. You agree that you are provided for. You agree that the solution is already existing in the invisible realm. When you make this agreement, you don't need to run around telling everyone. In fact, silence is a container for power. When you talk too much about your manifestations, you dissipate the energy. You open yourself to the doubts of others. Keep your agreement sacred. Keep it between you and the infinite. It is a secret pact. You walk through the world looking like everyone else, facing the same economy as everyone else. But you are operating under a different set of laws. You have a secret diplomatic immunity to lack. And then, you watch. You watch not with anxiety, but with curiosity. You watch for the signs of the flow returning. And remember, the flow often starts as a trickle before it becomes a flood. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. Maybe you find $5 in an old coat pocket. Do not say, "Is this it?" Say, "Thank you. The flow has started." Maybe you get a discount on your coffee. Say, "Thank you. The flow is moving." Maybe you get an idea for a project. That idea is money in spiritual form. When you acknowledge these small signs, you amplify the signal. You are telling the universe, "I see you. I hear you. Keep it coming." This is the dialogue of the silent agreement. It is a constant, quiet feedback loop of gratitude and recognition. If you fall off the wagon, if you panic, if you wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat about your debts, do not shame yourself. Shame is the heaviest vibration of all. It blocks everything. If you panic, simply acknowledge it. Say, "Okay, I panicked. That was the old reaction." And then, gently, firmly, bring yourself back to the agreement. Re-sign the treaty. Sigh. I return to the agreement of flow. You can begin again every minute. You can begin again every breath. The universe holds no grudges. The supply does not get offended. It is always there, waiting for you to realign. The stream does not stop flowing just because you turned away from it. When you turn back, the water is still there. As we near the end of this realignment, understand that the heavy lifting is done. The heavy lifting was never the physical labor. The heavy lifting was the mental shift. It was the decision to stop being a victim. It was the decision to stop letting the visible world dictate your internal world. You have done that work. You have shifted the lever. The gears of the universe are turning in your favor. Even if you cannot see them yet, the machinery of grace is silent, but it is massive. It is moving mountains on your behalf. It is rearranging circumstances, softening hearts, and opening doors. Your job now is simply to remain in the agreement. Your job is to walk through your day with the quiet dignity of someone who knows their needs are met. This is the state of enoughness. It is the feeling that you are enough, and therefore you have enough. It is the realization that you are not a physical body trying to get spiritual help. You are a spiritual being who has temporarily forgotten your power over the physical. The silent agreement remembers that power. It claims that power. It rests in that power. You are not creating something from scratch. You are removing the dam. The water is pressing against the gate. All you have to do is lift the gate, and the gate is lifted not by muscle, but by surrender. It is lifted by saying, I accept, I allow, I receive. So, carry this agreement with you. Let it be a secret smile on your face. Let it be a calmness in your eyes that confuses people who are addicted to stress. Let it be a steady beat in your heart. You have signed the contract with abundance. You have ended the war with reality. You are no longer fighting for your life. You are allowing your life to be lived through you. The struggle is over. The flow has begun. The agreement is sealed. Walk in it. As we draw the curtains on this sacred interval of 7 minutes, which has now expanded into a timeless realignment of your entire destiny, it is vital that you do not treat this ending as a mere conclusion. In the spiritual mechanics of the universe, there are no endings, only transformations. What we are doing right now is not finishing a video. We are commencing a new cycle of existence. We are sealing a covenant. You have spent this time deliberately dismantling the architecture of lack that has imprisoned you, perhaps for years. You have acknowledged the obedience of money. You have climbed into the driver's seat of command. You have activated the trinity of alignment. And you have signed the silent agreement. Now, the cement must dry. The seed must be covered. The work must be sealed so that the birds of doubt do not come and steal what you have planted. You must realize that the most dangerous moment in any spiritual surgery is the moment you stand up and walk back into the contaminated atmosphere of the old world. You are about to disconnect from this stream of truth and re-enter a world that is addicted to fear. You will turn on the news, and they will sell you scarcity. You will talk to your neighbor, and they will sell you struggle. You will look at your phone, and it will try to sell you inadequacy. This is the test. The realignment we have performed here is delicate. It is like a newborn flame. It is hot and bright. But it needs protection until it becomes a roaring fire that can consume any damp wood thrown upon it. Therefore, your walk from this moment forward is a walk of guardianship. You are the guardian of your own vibration. You must protect this new state of being with the ferocity of a mother protecting her child. Do not think of this session as a magic pill that you swallow once and then forget. The subconscious mind, which runs 95% of your life, is a creature of immense habit. It is like a heavy flywheel that has been spinning in the direction of lack for decades. We have applied a brake today. We have started to turn the wheel in the direction of abundance. But momentum takes time to build. If you walk away now and never return to these truths, the wheel will slowly, inevitably, Creep back to its old rotation. The gravity of the collective consciousness is pulling you down. To escape gravity, you need escape velocity. That velocity comes from consistency. It comes from returning to the well of truth every single day until the truth is no longer something you visit, but the place where you live. Therefore, I am inviting you, no, I am challenging you to make a solemn commitment to your own soul. I challenge you to return to this video, or to the practice of these 7 minutes, every single morning for the next 21 days. Why 21 days? Because the mind needs a cycle of 3 weeks to override the neural pathways of the past. You are physically rewriting the geography of your brain. You are paving a new highway called prosperity and letting the old dirt road called poverty grow over with weeds through disuse. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. Repetition is the mother of manifestation. Each time you listen, you drive the truth deeper. Each time you affirm, you sand down the edges of your resistance. Each time you visualize, you make the invisible picture more real than the visible problem. I want you to view this channel not just as a collection of videos, but as a sanctuary in a digital world that is screaming for your attention. This is a place of silence and power. We are building a community here, a legion of souls who have decided to opt out of the struggle and opt into the flow. If you have felt a shift today, if you have felt the tumblers of the lock clicking into place, then you belong here. You are part of this tribe. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, not for the sake of numbers, but for the sake of connection. When you subscribe, you are telling the algorithm of your life that you want more of this frequency. You are telling the universe, this is my station. This is where I get my news. Turn on the notification bell so that you are reminded to return to your center. Let us be the voice that counters the noise of the world. Let us be the anchor that holds you steady when the waves get high. And now, we must perform the final act of the silent agreement. We must physically anchor this spiritual work. Thoughts are electrical, but writing is mechanical. When you write something down, you bring it from the air into the earth. You give it a body. I ask you to scroll down to the comments section right now. I want you to leave a specific declaration. I want you to type these words. I accept to live in flow. Do not just type them mindlessly, as your fingers touch the keys. Imagine that you are etching these words into stone. Imagine that you are signing a peace treaty with money. I accept to live in flow. When you see your own name next to those words, witness it. And when you scroll and see the hundreds, perhaps thousands of others who have typed the same words, realize that you are not alone. You are part of a massive, invisible grid of awakening. Draw strength from that. Know that when you are sleeping, someone on the other side of the world is awake and holding this vibration. We are holding the line for each other. There is a profound peace that comes when you stop trying to be the general of the universe and accept your role as the receiver of the divine. You do not have to make the sun rise. You do not have to make the money come. You just have to open the window. Today, we have opened the window. Do not close it again with doubt. Do not close it again with fear. If you feel a draft of anxiety, do not slam the window. Just wrap yourself in the cloak of the silent agreement. Say, I feel the fear, but I choose the flow. This is the discipline of the master. It is not the absence of fear. It is the dominance of faith. Maybe in the next few days, the mind will try to play its old tricks. It will show you a high bill and say, see, it didn't work. It will show you a delay and say, you are foolish for believing. Recognize these thoughts for what they are. They are the extinction burst of a dying ego. The ego fights hardest right before it surrenders. Smile at these thoughts. Treat them like a tantruming child. Sigh. I hear you. But we are doing it differently now. Do not fight the old thoughts. Simply replace them with the new decree. I accept to live in flow. Every time you choose the new thought over the old reaction, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are winning the election of your destiny, one vote at a time. Remember, the supply you are looking for is not in the hands of your boss, your clients, or the government. It is in the hands of the infinite, and the infinite has no shortage. There is no shortage of water in the ocean, there is no shortage of air in the sky, and there is no shortage of abundance in the spiritual realm. The only shortage is in the container you bring to the ocean. Today, we threw away the thimble. We threw away the teaspoon. We brought the tanker truck of the silent agreement. We expanded your capacity to receive. And because nature abhors a vacuum, that expanded capacity must be filled. It is law. It is physics. It is inevitable. As you go about your day, look for the evidence. But look with soft eyes. Do not demand burning bushes and parting seas. Look for the green lights. Look for the smiles. Look for the pennies on the sidewalk. Look for the feeling of ease. These are the breadcrumbs of grace. Follow them. They are leading you out of the wilderness of lack and into the promised land of plenty. And if you forget, if you stumble, if you fall back into the pit, just come back here. The video will be here. The truth will be here. We will be here. You can start again every morning. You can start again every breath. The grace is infinite. The patience of the universe is inexhaustible. I release you now. I release you from the burden of the how. I release you from the prison of the past. I release you into the glorious, messy, beautiful, abundant flow of the now. You are ready. You are worthy. You are open. The blockage is removed. The channel is clear. The water is moving. Go and let it bless you, so that you may bless others. For you are blessed to be a blessing. You are a river, not a reservoir. Let it flow. Let it go. Let it grow. It is done. The words have been spoken. The energy has been moved. The law has been activated. Walk in peace. Walk in power. Walk in prosperity. And so it is.